Welcome to Ace of Pentacles, your career strategy and workplace wellness podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and I'm so happy you're here. Join me every week as we investigate how people design and discover their way through their careers. Together, we'll explore the science of well-being at work and discover tools and strategies to help us do well and be well. Hi, Nishant. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm glad to finally see you after our last meeting last year.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we connected and I'm glad this is happening. So thank you.
Me too. Well, thank you, Nishant Badami. You go by Nish. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today because you do something that is super fascinating to me. I'm really fascinated by all the ways that we become newer versions of ourselves throughout our lives, right? Intentionally and, maybe just organically too. And the process of personal transformation is really fascinating for me. So when I first met you and you told me what you do, I was instantly like, ooh, I was so intrigued. So to kick us off, I'm actually going to read something from your website, the Ubuntu website, that I personally found really, really inspiring. And then we'll go into a little bit about you, your background, just to kind of anchor our audience in what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay. Sure.
So on your website, you write, I would like to use travel to facilitate a shift in mindset, a paradigm shift that will lead to a world transformed for the better. I believe that transformational journey isn't about changing yourself, but about changing the way you see yourself and then the world around you. When we design journeys, we look at them as living organisms with a soul. All in all, we encourage you to push yourselves a little or more out of your comfort zone, tap into your alternate selves, and start conversations, even with strangers, and return with a more open, creative, and trusting outlook. This is part of your mission statement on your website, and I think it's a beautiful mission. It has such strong potential for impacting change, not just on an individual level, but a cultural level, right? And globally in terms of how we connect with each other.
I agree. It does. It's slow to pick up. It's a bit difficult, but yeah.
So today, Nish, I'd love to speak to you about how you are working to fulfill this mission, how you think about travel and immersing ourselves into different cultures, how you facilitate that experience for people to help them expand their mindset, their self-perception, and ultimately help them show up in the world in the way that they really want to and show up for their lives a little bit more. So let's start here. Tell us about your journey and what inspired you to create Ubuntu.
So I'm a history student originally. I love research and travel. Therefore, travel and research kind of go hand in hand. You end up reading up a lot. When you read, I used to read a lot of crime. I used to read a lot of fantasy-based novels. You travel the world when you're there. And I have always believed in magic. And travel, I think, has opened my mind up more to magic. Like, I literally will go hunting for fairies. And, I became a copywriter in between all of that. But again, wherever I was, it was always about there was creativity that came in, there was conversation that came in, there was mixing around with people. My job with writing also took me to different cities to meet different people, and that has always been a part of my life. As a child, I lived in Nigeria for a while, so we traveled a lot back and forth from India, to Germany, to Europe, to here, there, everywhere. So again, meeting new people, travel it kind of got my life together. It's always been there, a part of my life in some form or the other. I was given the opportunity by somebody to join their company very randomly because they heard us talk over a couple of drinks about our travels, and they loved the way I designed travel for my own family, for myself. And they said, why don't you join the company? And I'm very grateful because that's what, through this door open. That was that portal that threw me in. I then started seeing travel differently. I got introduced to the Transformative Travel Council, and I was already there. I was already looking at travel. For me, it changes the way I think. Every time I travel and I come back, there's something new. I've grown. My family has grown. My husband's grown. We are looking at the city we are living in, the people we are living with differently. We're thinking of solutions differently. So I wanted to start letting people feel that. I wanted people to experience that. And the Transformational Travel Council kind of guided me in how to do that. I did a course with them. And, it came at that juncture when I said, okay, I need to stop working for somebody and start working for myself and figure out things on my own. And in the middle of the pandemic, I quit my job and put the whole idea of Ubuntu together. There wasn't any fixed plan though. It was just that I want to create change, I want to do this, and I'm going to start Ubuntu. So I started with creating my logo and said, let's see where it goes from there.
Wow. What an interesting time to launch a travel company during the pandemic.
Yeah, it had to be done. It just had to be done. It was like I said, okay, maybe I'll wait, but I said, no. This is time to build because there isn't any travel happening. Okay, it is going to be frustrating, but better now than later because at least then this gives me that time to build it up and then start off. So it technically started off properly only in 2022 with actual travels, but at least I got time to think about what exactly I wanted to do and not go completely blindly. I mean, I'm impulsive. I'm a very impulsive person and I like being impulsive, but this gave me some time to kind of ground myself a little bit and take it a bit seriously.
Yeah. You know what I love about that story, Nish, is that a lot of people, I think, during the pandemic were in this like give up on life mode, which was really tough. And it was like, everything was so unpredictable, especially around like, what is our world going to look like after, right? But I think people like you kind of imagined bigger for our world, right? Better for our world. I think the people that like really, took that opportunity during COVID to build things and create things. I love those people because those people are, to me, they're the people that hold the most hope, right?
Yeah.
Because like it was just so unpredictable, especially around stuff like hospitality and travel. So that's so cool that you took that time to do that.
Thank you. I have been known to be optimistic. A lot of people call me idealistic, but I can't give up on hope. There are days, of course, you feel down, you feel like you're gonna, it's all just for nothing. It does get like that, especially when you start your own business, when you continue your own business. But I think I will always have hope. And that's why that belief, in humanity. It's there. It's just there. It will never go away. And I wanted to rein that in. I said, use what you have. If you have hope, use it, spread it.
I love that. So, Ubuntu was created because of a combination of your passion for travel, your experience with travel, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems like a little bit of education around what travel can be, right?
Yep.
You talk about transformation as not as changing yourself, but as changing how you see yourself. What
Yep.
inspires that distinction for you?
I think a lot of us now it's happening, but the realization that we are all part of something bigger, we are not separate from anything else, and if we are more alert, we will be able to participate in the beauty of life more actively. And instead of life just happening to us, we will start happening to life. And I think that has inspired me to do this.
Yeah. I really like that. Instead of life happening to us, we start happening to life. You talk a lot about, personal transformation, becoming a different version of yourself or tapping into alternate versions of yourself. I'd love to hear from your perspective. What do you think are some of the most common misperceptions, maybe one or two, that people have about this idea of personal transformation?
So, like I said, it's about your perspective about yourself as opposed to changing yourself. So people think they have to change. They're under this pressure that, oh, we have to change ourselves. I mean, why? You don't have to change yourself. It's just about what you have with you. Learn to accept it, right? If we do that, that is changing your perception of who you are, of judging yourself a little less. So that is one misconception. Everyone thinks you've got to, when you go on these transformative journeys or when you do, I don't know, a sound bath or whatever it is, you're not just tapping into an alternative self. They think you are becoming a completely different person. No, the person who you are stays because that's beautiful. But it's how you look at yourself and not judge yourself that changes. And also, I think a lot of people, when they go on these journeys, they think it's a quick fix. That, I'm going to go on this journey, whether it is a retreat or whether it is whatever, that I'm going to go on this journey and immediately there's going to be change. No, it's going to awaken the healing. But it is after the journey that the process, that's the main process. This is just going to, shake you up a little bit, move things around a little bit. And then when you come back, that's where the healing, that's where the actual change in perception starts kind of sinking in.
You know, I've worked most of my life in corporate settings and in the United States, and a lot of people that I know think about getting away or travel as the time that you shut down. It's
Mm.
like, shut everything down. I want to lay on a beach. I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to do anything. And I think about travel very differently. And so I'd love for you, for the audience who is out there with this idea, they might not know what we're talking about when we're talking about healing or the healing process starting. Can you tell us a little bit, give us maybe an example of how has your sense of your self-perception evolved through your travel experiences?
So, look, everyone has their own perception of travel, what it's supposed to be, where they are at in their own journey. And there have been times even where I have just wanted to go lie on a beach and do nothing. And it's perfectly fine, to go with that mentality. But I just feel that people need to start respecting that they are at a particular destination. They are guests of people from that destination. So this is not your personal living room, that you just go there to just lie on the beach. Incorporate that too, but give it some respect. Be a little more curious about what's around you, where you're at. Not just go to a beach club and just party away. You can do that anywhere. You can do that in your own city. So every time I travel, the biggest thing is I always meet someone. How I met you. I allow myself to. Opens up spaces in my mind that I might have closed because of certain incidents, some experience I might have had, something childhood. You're carrying so much with you, and you don't know what all you have closed. So when I travel and I'm able to talk to people and connect with people, it makes my belief in the human connection, in humanity, stronger. And I find myself listening. I find myself looking with all my senses wide open. That's why I said curiosity. You need curiosity. You become more aware. You even become more patient with yourself, with other people. So when you come back, it kind of makes you that way. When I say listen, it's not just about conversations. It's about listening to the world around you, whether it's the natural world, whether it's not the natural world. It could be a city, a busy city also. Nobody has to directly say something to you, but things around you are still talking to you. You're sitting on a beach, okay, let the ocean talk to you. It has stories to tell you. You're sitting on a beach, there are conversations around you, people from different cultures all around you. Allow yourself to hear them, to feel their emotions, hear where they are coming from. That it just adds to any story that's going on. It adds to the story of your narrative. Again, like I said, it's no more that things are happening to you. Make it the other way around. Make yourself happen to things. Be a part of it all. And that kind of motivates me to do more when you travel with that mindset.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's like immersing yourself wherever you are and being more intentional about what you're doing there.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to go on, okay, you don't have to do a cultural typical activity. You don't have to go on uh, a foraging trip or anything. You don't have to do it. You're just sitting in one place. J. Krishnamurti says this one thing that stays in my mind and always gets me back to where I come from, why I'm doing what I'm doing. He's like, you're looking at a tree. Just look at the tree. Listen to it. Listen to the world around you. You're looking at something. Don't attach anything to it. Just allow it to talk to you. Just allow it to sink in.
Yeah, I definitely think we don't do that enough. I love the idea of journeys you state in your mission statement as being living organisms with a soul. Nish, can you tell us what that means to you in practice while you're actually designing these experiences for people?
Okay. So, I mean, I love that statement too. I don't know when and how I came up with it, or did I read it somewhere and then use it? I really have no memory. I just really love that statement. But I believe that when you truly and you travel truly, you travel deeply, then you need to think about movement. And when I'm saying movement, it's not just about moving from point A to point B or place to place. It is movement of the mind, movement of the heart. So when I design or when I'm curating, sure, anyone can put experiences together and make a beautiful itinerary and, give you some lovely immersive experiences or whatever it is. But it's not just about that. When you take a journey and you treat that journey as something or someone with a life, with a story of its own, you come with a story. You're going to a place that has its story, but the design of your journey in between that is taking you there that has a story of its own to tell as well. There is a reason I am making you meet certain people, or I'm giving you a certain storyteller, or I'm giving you a certain experience. You should be able to connect with the journey itself, right? So whether it's through, I'll encourage you to journal. I'll give you a note, connect you with, if you're in Japan, a haiku somewhere, somehow, you know. So something that is local, that belongs to the place, but also something that will make you think. I have these conversations with my guests. I ask them these bunch of questions, and sometimes I can be a pain in the ass because I'm chasing you with all these questions. But, it's going to be helpful because I'm going to be able to make that journey a lot more qualitative. It's not about the number of activities you do. You might do two activities, but wherever you go, even if you're doing something self guided, I'm gonna know what you're doing, but be able, or even if I don't know what you're doing, at least I'll be able to give you maybe a musician you connect with. I'll give you a quote from him, or a book, a story that makes you you, and that makes that journey unique to you. And that's why that journey gets a soul of its own, right? Because if your journey doesn't have a soul, how will you connect to the soul of the world?
Yeah.
So I try to bring in that soul by doing these things, these small little things. Put a note here, give a reflection there, give you a playlist that you're going to like or that is nostalgic or something. It all depends on who is at what part of their life journey, where they're going, what they're doing, who they're going with, why they're going.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I want to go on a journey with you.
Do it.
I probably will. So Nish, it sounds
Sorry.
like these are really beautiful ways to intentionally create space for inner shifts to happen during your travel. And it sounds like this is the design aspect of it. What other things might you incorporate into someone's experience to help them create these moments where these inner shifts can happen? And how can they actually, make the most of those moments?
So, of course, like I said, the journaling and all, that's all your reflective part of it, or a note that will kind of push you towards doing something or coax you into doing something somehow. But maybe sometimes I can create a moment, or I wouldn't say an experience. It's about creating a moment that maybe the guest or the traveler is not expecting. So I'm kind of taking them out of their expectations or their familiar zone. I'm not saying it has to be something drastic. I have done things like that. I have put people into a scary-ish situation as well, but that's because they were there. They were okay with it. I'm not going to do that, but I might give you something or push you to experience something that you didn't tell me that I want to experience this. Or just from my conversation, I felt that this could connect you to this particular experience. Like you might be someone who is into, let's look at it this way, someone who wants quiet, someone who wants remote areas, someone who wants to go hiking all the time, be in the mountains. But I will give you enough time in the city as well because it's important to experience that. Because as Khalil Gibran says, joy is your sorrow unmasked, right? You apply that with everything. If you don't have this experience, how do you actually experience what you want to experience? So, taking you out of your comfort zone. I think meaningful experiences and travel is something very personal. And I also believe that in life, and this whole deal with karma. So, also in travel, what you put into your travel, you're going to get back. So, that's another aspect of it. It's yes, you want to find answers, you'll find answers, but you're going to find questions too, and you've got to be ready for that. You're going to come back with more questions, and until you don't keep questioning and questioning and questioning, I like creating that space for you. And yes, like I said, getting out of your comfort zone or giving you something opposite of what you were expecting at some point, not in your whole journey, but at some point in that journey, that's how you get into that space.
Nish, can you share a moment or a story from one of your own trips that deeply embodied the Ubuntu philosophy?
My personal trips? No, for someone who traveled with me, right?
Yes, someone that traveled with you.
Okay, so it was a family. It was somewhere in Asia, but it was a very high end trip, a luxury trip and everything. But their why was because this family is a busy family. Kids are preteens, and it's not like they have a wholesome life here too, but they live in the city. It's a very busy city life, but they do have a farm outside the city and they do visit it. They do interact with the farmers and everything, but the parents also wanted them to experience that on an international travel trip. So, and the idea was to bond with the family needed bonding time, and they wanted their kids to experience you know, life in nature in another country as well. And while they were there, they did engage with the locals in the sense that the parents got time out on their own. They got time with the kids. They got time away from the kids as well. And the kids went on their own to farms and all of that. But when they came back, the kids were able to apply what they saw in the farms or whatever to the farms that they have. They engage the farmers. They were able to bring solutions back or put that forward, saying, "Why can't we do this here? Can how does one apply this over here?" Then that creates solutions for the farmers here in India. But at the same time, the farmers were able to kind of tell them that this won't work here, it'll work there. So the kids are learning, the kids are applying. It's amazing. That opens your mind out. The mother now creates content for more mindful living, lives more mindfully anyway, but more mindful living. She was able to create that content because of these journeys that she's gone on. And the father, well, he needed time with his family. And now he consciously makes that effort to do it. So it's all on small scales, but ripple effects. The ripple effects happen.
Yeah.
And you take it forward. The kids are going to want to travel like this again and again. The mother wants to do a solo trip and do this again and again, where on every journey there is growth, internal growth, and therefore they are able, because they are growing internally, mentally, physically, well, not physically, no, sorry, emotionally, spiritually, they have grown. They want to take that and apply it to the people around them and see how they can help them grow.
Yeah. It sounds like the experiences that you design for people continue to kind of give to their lives and their communities even after they come back, from their journey, from their travel. It's like by structuring it the way that you're structuring it, it continues to, like you said, have that ripple effect throughout their lives.
Yeah. And what the beauty is, a lot of people come back, they've made all these amazing connections and they keep in touch. And I encourage them. I tell them, "Do you want me to send you numbers, email addresses, this, that, and the other?" It's part of the transformational travel philosophy also to do things like that, to create a community beyond the travel. The journey keeps going on. And the thing is, the beauty is, even if someone might not immediately come back and design their next travels with me, I'm very proud because I see them applying whatever it is in their lives. So there is a journey that's still going on. They are grateful to me, but they are grateful to what was created for them to be able to experience that. And gratitude, I think, is a good thing to have in today's day and age. Love and gratitude. You need it. And these travels, not just me, people like me who are also doing this kind of work, that's what is, I think, at the basis of a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like by giving them this opportunity, it's like you're almost teaching them how they can incorporate some of your philosophy and Ubuntu's philosophy throughout different areas of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
You encourage people to start conversations, even with strangers. How have you seen those moments of connection impact travelers on like a deeper level?
Trust, faith, open mindedness. There is so much going on in the world today, and we don't realize how, it's shaping our subconscious, our thinking, making us anxious, and all of that, whatever is going on in the world. You don't realize it. And when you engage in conversation with another human being, you start looking beyond. You let go. If you're able to let go and just engage in a conversation, looking at that person as just another person, even if you've gone with some assumption, even if you've gone with a notion, even if you've gone with some sort of a stereotype, all of that, as you get into a conversation, starts melting away. I've seen that with my daughter, who's now 13. I've seen that with my husband. I've seen that with me. And that's why it becomes addictive to have these conversations again and again and again with people. And many a times, travelers, all of us, we come back with this wide-eyed, childlike, wow, that, it's such a rush. But also, it's something, like I said, you want to keep doing. You want to keep having those conversations with newer people. You end up, when you are here in your own city, you want to go out and start a conversation at the bar or at the restaurant. You get into some sort of a joke and you start a conversation. The more people you meet and the more conversations you have, the more open your mind becomes to accepting problems that are out there, but also accepting that you all can network, you all can solve those problems together, sharing cultures, sharing ideas, collaboration, coming together, that gets encouraged. you don't think twice, oh, is this person from so and so country or is this person from so and so community? You're just having a conversation, and the moment your mind is opened out, then when you come to know where they are from or which community they are from or whatever, then somehow that just doesn't matter. You're curious, and it's okay to be curious, but it doesn't matter. But you have to give yourself that chance to go into it.
Yeah. I think that's so important because I think we stifle our curiosity because of afraid of judgment, being judged. And I think that really gets in the way of us like really participating in our lives and having deeper experiences like the one that you're describing, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, so Nish, we talked about the ripple effects that happen from these trips in someone's own personal life, but tell us a little bit about the ripple effect that happens when you come back from a journey like this that's more cultural or societal or even global.
Right. So what I'm doing with what I'm doing is I'm going to tell you what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that when more people change the way they think and these perspectives, and they have created change within their own lives, they become more open and trusting of others, of situations, of different countries, of different people, and they will start looking beyond borders. That is for one. That's like one of the major things. I'm also hoping that, when youth travel more often this way, as they grow up with their own families, they will approach things with this new mindset. And then you can be more hopeful for systemic changes, rewriting the old way of doing things, bringing in new solutions. I'm hoping that this constant blow we keep getting to our morals, to our faith in humanity, will have a chance to be restored. It's a simple thing. Our parents told us, you created the mess, go clean it up. If we start traveling this way, the kids are going to grow up in a different way, in a different world, starting to think differently. And because we do travel, it's a great instrument, it's a powerful instrument. Travel, therefore, becomes a powerful instrument.
Yeah. I love that. I love the idea of teaching kids how to use that instrument because I think we
Yeah.
don't do that. Yeah, enough. Nish, how do you ensure that Ubuntu's approach to this cultural immersion is respectful, ethical, and reciprocal?
So, one, I believe the conversation around any sort of journey or curation, it's not one just to be had with the guests or the travelers, but it needs to be had with the people at the destination as well. You need to respect their knowledge of the place. For instance, yeah, I do a lot of research and I read up on cultures and everything, but sometimes research is not on point. What knowledge the locals are going to have, first hand knowledge, is different. And I always remind my guests that, like I said earlier in this conversation, I remind my guests that they are guests in someone else's home. I try to tell them that nobody is on display. No culture is on display. It's not an exhibit, nor their ways, nor their customs. It's not an exhibition. It's not a live museum for you. Be a part of it. Make yourself, let it be. I try to, so when I create the trip, it has to be interactive. When you talk about immersive, that's what I mean. Be a participant, you know don't be a spectator. Participate, exchange stories about your own culture. While you're taking in stories about their culture, why aren't you giving stories about your own culture too? Be proud of your own culture and exchange the stories. So I try to do this from that point of view. And of course, the partners that I work with, I'm very finicky about who I work with, because I see to it that they are as local as they can get, or at least have spent enough time with the locals or work firsthand with the locals. And that is important. Yeah, I think these are the two ways that I see that cultural immersion can be respectful and more ethical. And reciprocal, of course, because the moment you work with activity providers from a local community, you're giving back to that local community. You're bringing them up. You're uplifting them, empowering them so that they can create more change. Kids from their communities can travel more as well then.
Yeah.
They will travel outward. If you bring tourism to them, they can take their kids elsewhere too. They can afford to take their kids elsewhere too, and their mindset can grow as well.
Yeah. Part of why I love what you do is because of the impact on the local economies, right? Because you're very intentionally working with. I actually like you being so picky with the partners that you work with and the vendors and what you're exposing people to, because there's this commercialized piece of tourism and travel where it's like you go to, if you go on TripAdvisor, it's like all like the things that people do the most, and then you can definitely curate a trip around that and get something of the culture, absolutely. But then it's like I always think about when I go to these when I go to other countries and I organize a lot of my travel using like TripAdvisor, right? I'm always like I wonder who are like the local like street vendors or the people that like I'm not supporting because I'm supporting this much bigger, this group of people that has access to review people on TripAdvisor, ask for reviews on TripAdvisor or whatever. If I'm participating in that, then what am I not giving to in this country?
So, I feel that even if it's a regular tour, it could be something very normal, mundane, the regular stuff. But if you can find someone who can take that same thing, but give it to you differently, tell the story differently, then you're helping. So, and nowadays, people are putting themselves out there on social media and things like that. You have indigenous communities who have their own tours and activities, and they're putting themselves out there. But yes, I think it is important to do a little research to figure out what you are working on, who you're working with. Are they really doing what they are saying they're doing? Or is it greenwashing? I mean, it's a good way to sell. I sometimes check myself 10 times like, oops, am I using the word sustainable too often? Am I using the word immersive too often? Am I using even the word indigenous too often? You have to check yourself because people are using these words. People are using it as a selling gimmick. Some are doing it, are truly doing it. The others, not so much. They will on the surface, but if you go deep dive into it, no. Like for me, if I can't give people something like that, then I try to avoid it as much as possible. Unless people are like hell bent on going to a place and there's actually no other option. But even then, I will try and figure it out, or I'll tell them just do it on your own. I know sometimes we tend to get a little greedy, and it is tempting to say, yes, it is. It's everything that I'm saying it is, but actually, I found just some regular person doing it. And I'm not saying that I haven't felt that temptation, but you have to make your choice. You'd rather lose a client and say, I can't give you what I set out to give you, so it's not happening and I won't work this way. And it's okay. You lose a client, someone else will come by.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then maybe it's not time for these kind of travelers yet. You need to still build on your narrative, on your communication, on your storytelling. I look at it that way.
I love the level of integrity there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nish, you mentioned returning from these travels with a more creative outlook, right? And like I mentioned, I think I understand that because I think when you really immerse yourself in different cultures and different environments and really be present and take it in, our brains are on autopilot all the time, and it gives your brain kind of a little bit of it goes into shock and it starts to absorb more just new information. It's opening itself up to new ideas, and I think as a result you are more creative, right? But
Yeah.
in the way that you design these travels, do you intentionally do certain things to kind of inspire that creativity?
Many a time I do because I believe everybody is a creator. When someone comes to me and they say, "Oh, Nishant, you're so creative, you paint, you did," and I said, "Yes, but so are you." And they're like, "Oh, I don't have a creative bone in my body." And that's not true. I think everyone has a creative bone. Bones, muscles, all of it, cartilages, creative cartilages. Everyone is creative. What I like doing is one is, yes, tapping into everybody's creativity, giving them an option to do that. But what I also like doing is I want people to understand that being creative means making mistakes, right? Trusting the process. Make those mistakes, but don't be fearful of making those mistakes. So when you travel and come back with a creative outlook, I have tried to create a space for you to start trusting yourself, to start trusting the process around you. And because of that, you trust people, you trust situations. Because without trust, how are you going to hope? Without trust, how are you going to create? Trust the process, make your mistakes, go back, but do it, don't do it fearlessly, is what I would say. Do whatever you do fearlessly. And that's why I feel you come back with a more creative outlook because you've allowed yourself to go on this journey. You trusted me to take you on this journey. So it is my creativity, but it's also yours somewhere because you've given me access to certain parts of you and you have created your own journey with me. So allow yourself, give yourself a pat on the back because you created this journey. You went on this journey. You took the initiative to go on this journey, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Nish, what advice would you give to someone looking to begin a more intentional, mind shifting journey, whether abroad or close to home?
So I'm going to borrow this from the Transformational Travel Council. I would say wherever you go, go with heart. Heart stands for humble, engaged, awake, resilient, and thankful. So to elaborate a little bit, when I say humble, when you go somewhere with humility, it inspires us to protect the world around us, to respect the importance of others in the now and for the future as well. So that is being humble. When I say engaged, again, it's what I said earlier, do not be an observer, become a participant. Don't be there just to be entertained, get involved. So engage yourself emotionally, intellectually, physically, spiritually. If you really want to dive into travel, into the depths of the power of travel. Awake. What is awake? Now, all of us are shaped by the choices we make, the possibilities that have been made available to us, the culture that we have grown up with, who we are, where we are from, all of that shapes us. And not all of this can be seen, right? It's not all tangible, but it does determine how we experience the world, how we perceive the world, and how the world sees us too. So when we are awake to all these things, then the experiences and connections we have and we make will be deeper and they'll be even more inspirational. Then, when I talk about resilience, being resilient. So, when you believe in your own resilience, then I feel you can unlock very powerful experiences. But you have to believe in yourself. External experiences, but also experiences within you. And this is any wellness coach will also tell you this. Believe in your own resilience. So, this would mean going into an unknown territory physically, spiritually, however, pushing your own boundaries, getting out of your comfort zone, being vulnerable and showing it and accepting it. It's okay to be vulnerable. You cried, you had a conversation, you cried, go for it. It's okay. Accepting the discomfort that comes with all of this. Just as you accept the good stuff, accept the shitty stuff as well. And therefore, you challenge yourself. So, therefore, resilience. And then thankful. Going everywhere with that empty cup mentality, with no expectation, and definitely no attitude of entitlement, go with gratitude for all of it. Because there are portals, there are doorways, there are pathways, there are opportunities for growth to experience life more fully. Everyone is happy at the end of the day when we feel and show that we are thankful. We are happy, the people we are thankful to, thankful for, everyone is happy. It's a win win situation. So, yeah, that is my advice to everybody.
Wherever you go with heart.
Yeah.
I love that. Nish, thank you so, so much. I will add your website and your information if folks want to have these experiences and have you design an experience, a travel experience for them. But are there any parting thoughts, words that you'd like to leave us with?
Gratitude. Because I'm not always very pro, social media, podcasts. That's not me. But of late I have said take whatever opportunity comes your way with gratitude. Be open to that. I'm still I have a long way to go. And this opportunity that you've given me to be able to share the way I think and what I do, it's not just about, oh, this will be good for my business, or it is about, I mean, go with somebody else. Go travel with somebody else. Go travel on your own. I want to share the messaging. The Everyone needs to wake up. Everyone needs to start, activating their minds differently, and that's my intention. And I'm just grateful that I'm getting this opportunity.
I'm grateful that you've chosen to be here because it's very clear. It's the passion that you have for this and your intention is very, very clear to me. You and I, when we first spoke, I was like, what do you do? And you explained like this, you described kind of what Ubuntu is. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, okay, so I'm starting a podcast. Do you want to be on it? And I remember just being like, wow, she does something so cool. But it's this conversation because you and I haven't spoken since like I guess last
Yeah.
year, right? And
Yeah.
it's in this conversation, I can see and I can feel your passion and your intention for what it is that you do, and I think that's beautiful.
Thank you so much. But I have learned that that is a learning process for me to have a little bit of patience. Just because I am here on this journey, on my life journey, I've reached this stage. People have a long way to go. They weren't exposed to everything I was, you know? So again, another way of looking at things. Like I said, I'm growing, and I want to tell people that if every day I can start finding new ways of looking at things differently, you can start too, just in your own home, and then travel, of course, will take it to the next level.
Yeah. I think the people that are, the ones that are the most difficult, they're the reason you're doing what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's weirdly it's like this gift that the universe is giving us, right? Because I get difficult clients sometimes and then I have to remind myself, wait, I'm here to help. Like that's my goal. So like I shouldn't be irritated by this. I should be thankful that this is an opportunity that I get.
Everyone is a healer in some way or the other. If you're trying to create change and positively, look, I can't control people. I don't want to be controlling people. I don't want to tell people this is how you should feel when you travel like this travel is going to make you feel happy, or this travel is going to make you feel, I don't want to be controlling that. But I want to give you the space to be able to connect to an old memory. I want to give you the space to be able to feel happy or find a way to come back happy, because then you're filling your mind. That's why I say go with an empty cup mentality.
Yeah.
Because the moment you go with already so many thoughts, like I said, see, it works both ways. Yes, do your research. Yes, read up about that country, but not in a biased way. Don't read up. You can read up about the culture, facts, figures, read a few things of those so you know what you're walking into, you know what kind of respect how you can respect that culture and the people over there. Get the research, do get the information, but don't fill it up with information that comes from opinion.
Yeah. So not just the most Instagrammable places,
Oh,
right?
definitely not. Of course, though people do come to me with those things as well. Uh, they said, we want to have a bucket list experience. I said, stop. Do not use that language. I'm going to give you a few rules. When you work with me, this is what it's going to be. Bucket list experience, no. Once in a lifetime experience, okay, we can still think about using that word. I just don't want to use bucket list. But yes, if they do see something on Instagram, and a lot of people do their research on Instagram, it is crazy. Like, think someone you think is really open minded and they live such a mindful life and all, they come to you with Instagram posts. Like, this is where I want to go. I said, okay, do you know where it is? Yeah, yeah. This person said it is so and so place. I said, yeah, this is what the place is. It is not even the place they're saying it is. It just looks like it is. So people are that clueless.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that social media, and I like we all know social media has really transformed travel and the way that people experience travel, because I do think it's become a lot more superficial. It's about that checklist. It's about I want to go take a picture here and I want to post it. It's like I want to, create this like image of what my life is. And so that's why I think I'm so drawn to experiences like the ones that you create and what Ubuntu's philosophy is, because I think it's it goes against what, mainstream kind of culture thinks about when we think about travel now.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like I said, even social media, if they start changing the narrative, influencers, social media people, tell the right story. And there are lots of people doing it now. But you need more people to follow that. It's not about just the images, but it's about what story. Put up. I also do good images. I don't have a huge following on Instagram, but I do use really nice images. It's important. But what is the story you're telling? That that changes, then the wording changes, words work. So if you use, I don't want to say right and wrong, but if you give the real story of a place, why can't you portray even the bad side to a place, the good side and the bad side? Why do tourism boards only have to show one side of everything? Tell the reality,
Yeah.
that gives more life to the place, it gives more depth to the place, it gives more depth to your people. So
Absolutely. Well, Nish, thank you so much for taking the time
thank you.
to expand our minds a little bit around travel today, and have a great rest of your evening. And
Thank you.
I can't wait to chat with you again.
Likewise.